one and then just click, okay, it's live. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And welcome to the Art of Music Tech podcast. I'm here with a great friend, Frank David Greene. Hello.
How are you all doing?
Welcome back.
You, Dennis.
Yeah. And my co-host, Dennis, of course. Yeah, so good to have you back on, Frank. The last time you were on, we were talking about a book that you did called I Knew That, which to me in these times, that this book is just exactly what you need to work off of when you're not sure of how to get to mastery of a craft and how to, who to work with, how to have your mindset to go about it. It's still just an amazing book, and it's such a short read, available on Amazon. Check that out.
Thank you.
And then I also know that, you're working on new stuff, but let's just go over that a little bit more on that previous book, because I still love it. And do you see the same things as well? Like, man, this, like what you were saying then, like you could still take it to even a disastrous time like this. So,
well, yeah, this is a great time to kind of cocoon and kind of get yourself kind of sorted out, because people are chomping at the bit to go back to regular life, right? It's pretty obvious. So, I think no one's really worried about, if we get there. I think maybe how long it will take, but I think everyone's pretty sure we'll get kind of back to regular life for the most part, because people want that. We all want that.
Yeah, totally. Just the fact that you created a book in this way, and it's just, it's kind of like little anecdotes, and like you told me, like you could just knock out the book in half an hour pretty much, but if you really read between the lines and on everything that's in that book, it's just, it's almost like disaster Bible, or just like I don't know, how else to bring it about, to say how much I really appreciated it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And I didn't even get into the fact that you're an amazing world-class trumpeter. Did
my mom say to say that?
That everybody has heard, but you just didn't know that was you. So, and that
everything, yeah.
Exactly. But it takes me back again to the mastery of certain parts of your craft, and just realizing like, oh, that's what's needed, and that type of talk just isn't around. And we
know there's reasons for that. We know there's reasons why that happens, right?
Okay. Sometimes there are too many reasons why it's not happening. Right. / excuses.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah. And really all it is about getting to work and being creative, even when in times that you're not sure what to do. But I mean, you get with the best person that is doing what you kind of want to do, and you take that and keep it going. Yeah, I mean, are the new books going to be like that as well, or what's the phase with this?
The one that's coming out now, it's kind of got a strange title for what it is, but I call it the Jazz Zen. J-Z-Z-E-N. And it's similar to I Knew That, but it's more like little Zen kind of quotes, but not in a very confusing way. And a lot of the ideas are things I got from like Slide Hampton, or from Maynard Ferguson, or even Woody Herman. They have these little, I call them Zen moments, where this thing just comes out of their mouth and you go, whoa, wait a minute. It's just a small little thing. And Woody Herman would say, many decisions about whether we succeed or fail in music has nothing to do with whether our horn is in our hand. I forgot how I wrote it, but he would say it's like people deciding whether they want you or don't want you. Sometimes your instrument is nowhere near you when they make that decision. So sometimes kids don't get that, or they they're very respectful, but then you go to their Instagram page and there's this huge narcissistic thing, and it just turns people off. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to bring that into this ecosystem that works well. So the kids are saying, why can't I get a chance? Why can't I get a chance? It's like, well, this is why, because no one's going to want to bring that into this well-functioning world. So you might want to ask some people, how to behave, so it's not just your, we know it's not just your playing, it's oftentimes people think it's their playing, but it's like, lots of great players aren't working because you can't put them on a gig because they don't know how to behave. They play great, but they think it's all about their playing, or they think it's all about them. And, and they get there and they find out, people kind of stonewall them and can't figure out why, but that's why. It's because they're missing the other half, which is, relationships and how to function well with people is equally as important as how well you play.
So sure.
Yes. And again, you don't even have to be, a musician. That's with every facet of the career.
Yep.
It's like you're gonna be around this person for just 15 hours on end when you're really in it.
Yep.
Do I really want to be with this person?
I know, right? It's like I talk to my friends about. We talk about this idea of pain in the acidness part of the expression. But it's like some people see people that they're like Mariah Carey, right? See people that singers see Mariah Carey and they think they want to act that way. What they're not realizing is Mariah Carey's diva quotient is here, right? But her contribution quotient is there. You know what I mean? It's like I can't even. So they don't understand that. So they just look at this part and they don't realize Mariah understands her value in the equation. And so as long as she keeps this under this, you might look at this and think that's excessive. But because it's so far under that, people go, because we know people that they as this starts to decline and their contribution starts to get the same or less than their diva-ness, then they start falling off. You don't see them, they don't work as much, and that's kind of why it's like I think we have to understand the nature of the value that we bring into the situation that we're going to work in, and there are ways to go about that, which we can talk about in a little bit. But I think that's an essential part. I think is understanding what that is, and I think a lot of younger people, in a way that not like Britney Spears or Taylor Swift might say, you have to kind of know that you're valuable, and we're not the ones that determine that because as we said, we're not our customer. Was that from before? We're not our customers, so we can't define what our value is to other people. They have to tell us what our value is, and we have to be willing to listen. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, we know our inherent value as people, but as far as like turning what you want to do into your work or what you get to do and the things you get to enjoy from that, like you get to play with Christian McBride means you get to tour all over Europe playing with Christian McBride. So you have to understand what your value is to that situation so you can get to live that. Make sense? That makes sense?
Oh yeah, totally.
I think it's missing in schools. I think schools don't have time to teach that. They've got a whole bunch of other stuff. They have to make sure like you have 4 tires on the road and your door is shut and the engine. They don't have time to teach that stuff.
If you have a flat tire, what do you do? They don't teach you.
They don't even teach you what to do when that happens. Like
leave the car and keep it in the garage.
Yeah. it's yeah. I mean, just it's kind of just the thought process of greatness. And really having a clear eye about where you stand in that, and not
really important,
not putting on the rose-colored glasses.
And a lot of people, denial is a problem, and especially, I don't want to blame, social media per se, but social media has allowed people to have an artificial sense of where they might be because Barack Obama or Bill Gates or I don't know, Sheryl Sandberg will make a post, right? And then your post is right behind that one. So you can think that just because you're standing next to the prime minister that you're the same because there you are next to each other. But 4 seconds later, you clearly see that you're not the same, especially when security comes in and takes you out. Oh, that's right. I'm not you.
I mean, yeah, I've been hearing a lot of a lot about like The Last Dance. Have you gotten to check that out about Jordan?
Yeah. Good, right?
Yeah, I mean, you clearly see what masters do and how they're gonna take it to such another level that you never even thought about. Like what it's all with this. Like he knew what was going on. When he got drafted, he said, "Okay, we're gonna turn this into a legacy."
Mm-hmm.
Nobody thought Chicago was not even on the map before.
Yeah, he did. He did. He knew.
And he was like, he knew.
He's going to make it happen. It's like, I'm going to make this happen.
Exactly.
This is what he punched Steve Kerr in the face. Steve Kerr said that's the best thing that ever happened to me. And he runs the Golden State Warriors. I mean, it's like
another dynasty.
Yep.
So
that's what happens when you hang out with people with a certain mentality. It rubs off on you. And I think the problem with young people is they hang out with the other young people. They spend too much time with people who are not. I guess what's the best way to put? They're not self-actualizing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because they're too young, and so they don't understand that if you want to try to self-actualize, in other words, do the things you want to do. What doesn't matter if you're a kid and you like a bike or you like a G.I. Joe with a kung fu grip. It doesn't matter. It's just do what you want. So a guy might have a bike and go look at my bike, and you think, I don't care. What I really want was the G.I. Joe, the Kung Fu grip, and both people are happy. It's not about other people. It's about understanding what makes you happy, what next looks like for you.
Yeah.
What's next?
And I mean, kind of breaking down the science of what that is that you're going to be, that next piece of the puzzle for what you're doing. And I mean, again, this is general. You don't have to be an audio engineer like us or a musician.
It's what resonates with you, right? It's whatever resonates. I mean, do that. It's like, so it's more the science of how to do what resonates with you. And I think that a lot of times in school, it's like there's the joke, which is, what does the philosophy major do the second day after he graduates? What does he say? He says, "Do you want fries with that?" Because it's like, but if you want to be a philosophy major, that's great. But here's the thing: when you go into university, what are you hoping to do when you get out? Because if you go into university with that mentality, then A, you can pick a better university maybe. And second of all, because when people say they don't know we talked about this, if people say they don't know what they want to do, that's almost always a lie. Yeah. It is, because they know exactly what they want to do. I've uncovered this with lots of students. They know exactly what they want to do. They just either don't know how to do it, and so they give up, and so they say, I don't know, or they don't want to admit it because maybe someone has poo-pooed it or said, you'll never make it. But they learn how to lie about that reality. But reality is, it's like, you should do what you want to do, right? Because this sounds naive, but imagine a world where people are doing a version of what they want to do. If everyone was doing a version of and what they resonate the best at, and what they feel like they have the biggest aptitude for, imagine if everyone in the world, because everyone's going to do things differently anyway. So, I mean, versus a bunch of people who are not able to do what they want to do and have a sense of frustration about it. Because not everyone's going to be a multimillionaire, because not everyone needs to be a multimillionaire. You know what I mean? I think some people will be like, if I could build houses all day, that's what I want to do. Well, if you're going to be nailing houses, you'll get to do that. You won't maybe be a multi-billionaire, but that's not about a dollar amount. It's about success. I don't define success by a dollar amount. Success is like, I want to do this, and then you get to do that. We want to travel with Christian, and we travel with Christian. Now I don't know if Christian says that's on his bucket list for us to be with him, but you know what? That's what's happening. So.
Totally. I mean, who knew with Jordan, going back to that a little bit, like him creating that legacy, I mean, brought in the Nikes, the Gatorades, the thing that brought in the billions, the basketball brought in millions, but the billions came with the legacy that was built with the mastery of that one thing. He didn't become the mastery of sneakers. He didn't take on day and night of figuring out how to make great sneakers. It was like, oh no, I have such a big dynasty that everybody that sees me wants to be like me. Or
what we're talking about. I mean,
that
Jordan will resonate in the way he resonates, right?
Yeah.
Which attracts, it's like water finds its own level, that idea. Where it's like you resonate a certain way, and people who resonate in that similar way that want to will sort of naturally be attracted to you. So it's not strange that Phil Knight could see someone like Michael Jordan want to merge with him, because Phil wants to be the version of Jordan for a Nike brand. See what I'm saying? So it's not a stretch. So it's not a shock how that would happen. I'm sure Jordan was courted by several people who wanted to be as good at that, as what he does.
Oh yeah. It's just like, but that greatness attracts the other. So you don't even have to be great at a bunch of things. That was like more of the lesson to me is like, okay, you could just kill something insanely, and then everything else comes towards you.
Yeah.
The millions do follow, because if you are the best house maker, you pretty much will be a millionaire. Like you will.
Well, if that's your goal. I mean, some people don't want the, because if you're worth $1 million, your life might change in a way you may not want it to change. All of a sudden, everyone's brother has their hand out, and you're making enemies just because you've been successful. You may not want that. I think that it's really just about understanding what resonates with you and getting to do that. And that's what, because I can tell students, we talk about this, the idea you have to compress. When you're in the water and you're down 10 feet and you want to shoot to the top, you can't just do that. You have to compress down and shoot up, right?
Yeah.
So I always tell students, I'm not a big fan of being well-rounded, right? Schools always say, be well-rounded, be well-rounded. And I think that's a mistake to say it in that way, because what happens is people don't buy that way. If someone said, well, this is a delicious wine that also will take the grease off your engine, and it's also a great floor polish, no one's going to want to drink that wine. You want to buy an engine degreaser, a floor polish, and a bottle of wine. You'll buy 3 things because you don't really want all 3. And so we don't buy that way. So a lot of students, they're well-rounded and they get to a town and they can't work because no one says, when someone says, hey, I'm looking for a lead player, that's what they say. I'm looking for a guy that can play, classical things for a recording session. They don't, and they looking for a really good jazz player. I don't really hear them say, hey, can you help me find a guy that's really well-rounded? You don't ever hear that. People are looking for a specific thing when they're buying, you know what I mean? So, it's like, and so the reason I say that is you have to compress, like you're saying, you have to compress to expand. You compress what your focus is, so you can do that. Yes, and then the crazy thing happens is you can then expand. So that's what I mean. It's important to kind of figure out what it is you're going to do first. You know what I mean? And then make sure that streamline that so that you can own your lane in that.
Oh, yeah.
I think owning your lane is still as important today as it ever was. And I think that's how you can create value, is by owning your spot in your lane. That makes sense?
Oh, yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
To a T. It makes sense. What are some more great gems that's going to be in the jazz zen?
Oh, I have to get my copy of this thing. Well, here's what I'll do. If you follow me on here, here's my wife made this for me. If you follow this, it's on the banner.
On the banner too.
I just want to show off her artwork. I can't get it to do it. I can't look in reverse. Good. There, right? If you log in there, you'll see in the banner. Follow me on Instagram, and then when it's done, I'll post it a few times so people can know how they can get it and preview it and see if it's something they want to get. But I think like little things like anyone who tells you that they got there by themselves is either lying or has a bunch of pissed off friends.
I know.
Oh wow.
So I say guesses make messes, that kind of stuff. But, that's still there. I think guessing is the enemy of success in many ways.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this before. If you're going to run fast, right? And you want to run fast, you can get all the books on running fast, and you can get a stopwatch and try your best. But the way our brains work the best is through chasing after things. In other words, if you were to do that, right? Let's say a guy got a book on how to run really fast, and he got all the books and all the things that talk about how the fast twitch muscle fibers work and blah blah blah, and he did that, and he did it for 6 months, right? He read it and trained using that, right? Mm-hmm. And then another person went to Jamaica and spent 6 months chasing after Usain Bolt. Right? And then 6 months, you put both of them on the starting line. You go. Which one do you think is going to win?
Oh yeah.
You say
it's so obvious that you wonder why anyone would guess or try to think that they can just use a book and interpret it from their own sense of worldliness when we got so many Usain Bolts out there. The trick isn't guessing. The trick is to understand how to form relationships. And that's where a lot of students drop off because they are so. One of them is you don't get a gallon of milk from one squeeze of the udder.
You sure don't.
They meet you one time and they think that you're going to remember their name, their favorite color, and how good they are, and you're going to want to use them because you met them one time. That's their investment in you. Is okay. I meet you one time. Hire me, use me, see how great I am. It's like, no. How about no? No works for me because my life is going good. So
yeah. Oh yeah, so true.
Anyway, so it's got stuff like that, and so it's it's kind of an easy way to kind of understand like what to do. Because what I'm discovering is people that are out of school or kind of buying this book because they're kind of looking at it as like, okay, what do I do now to kind of get maybe more on the right track for what I want to do? And so what I'm hoping they'll do is it's starting to happen is they'll tell younger people, hey, look, this kind of helped me get X, Y, or Z. So maybe my goal would be to get students that are just before they are about to pick their college to read some of this stuff so that when they get to college, they can use their professors a little bit, in a much better way. They can understand the situation they're in and optimize that versus letting it slip by. A lot of them let those 4 or 5 years slip by, and then they're 80 grand in debt and they're wondering why they're working at Starbucks. It's because schools aren't there to teach us that. That's what they bring us in to schools to talk, and we're doing things like this because there's extra stuff that you need that school doesn't do, and it's important. I think it's important.
Oh yes. I mean, technically knowing things, but also just learning the tidbits from the masters. I mean, really now Jamaica went from having. I mean, they always had a decent running team, but now it's like that. It's like, okay, it went from one Usain to like now they got 8, and we're talking about men and women.
And that's how it happens. I mean, like remember the 4-minute mile barrier? I think it was Roger Bannister was his name. Remember the guy that broke that? Exactly. And as soon as he broke it, everyone could run sub 4-minute miles. It was like so that's what I'm saying. So imagine if everyone chased after the Usain Bolt for what they do. Yeah. If they were really resonant, if they were honest about because here's the thing, and you got to be able to be told you're not good enough, and then decide if you want to pay the dues. people, they want the outcome, right? But like Slide Hampton, that's another one. Slide Hampton said, every job has parts that suck. Every job. The trick is not to mind those parts, because you're gonna have to pay dues. It's nobody gets there without paying dues for the most part, right? Woo. But you got to take a look at what those are before you fall in love with the thing, right? Because you might fall in love with the thing and realize, man, I ain't gonna pay those dues. Everyone wants to go to Mount Everest, but nobody wants to die doing it. You know what I mean? So it's not really rocket science, but sometimes we let our brains fall in love with an idea about something we want to do because it's so romantically great. But we have to realize that we don't live in a romantic world; we live in a reality. So we can't create value for other people with this thing we want to do. Then we're not going to get to do that.
Yeah.
Reality kicks in, and then you don't see people no more because they don't want to.
Right, they're working. You see them; they're at Starbucks. Grande latte, 2 grande lattes in the.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same. I think no one at Starbucks unless they want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's what you want as a kid. And I want to be a barista when I grow up. But I don't know many people that have said that to me. But there probably are some, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you don't want to have $80,000 in student loan debt while you're saying that either. That's
right. Exactly. Well, you might, if you want to be a barista, you might not go to college then, right? You might go straight to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's You were telling me, I mean, last year you were doing more student work and like you were doing some college campus visits, right?
Right. Well, I think the thing that I'm saying, the thing I'm talking about, initially I think comes off as very unpopular at universities because I think they think I'm trying to do something to the negative, and I'm trying to say to them is no. I think because you can see how that might come across because I'm asking students to ask, ask yourself why is your teacher teaching? Is it because they've done everything they want to do and you can learn from that? Or is it that because they're great teachers and you'll know because so many students will say, I'm so glad I went to X, Y, or Z school because this teacher was there and if they weren't there, I would have been, see what I'm saying? And so if they're neither of those two things, it might be okay, but it's going to be much harder for you to utilize them well because they haven't proven to be successful. We talk about TPK, right? They're not TPK, those who've proven to know. They're not necessarily proven to know because, what is it to say? To know but not to gig means not to know. I mean, so, it's like you got to do yourself a favor because there's so darn many of us in the world that we have to go to people who know how to do what we want to do so they can teach us how to circumnavigate all of the noise that gets in the way of getting from where you are to where you want to go.
Oh, the noise.
So guessing through that road, guessing through that forest is not the way to do it, but unfortunately, what most people do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're addicted to guessing,
Yeah. I mean, I guess kind of first getting into my career, out of school for me, it was because I'm from a small town and I had to go back to it. So it was like reading books to try and get the heck up out of that town. Yeah. And, that was the easiest way to kind of get into the field and how their vocabulary is, and what's the mindset. And that was the beginning of the change. But yeah, I imagine if I went, started working with a master straight out of high school or which I did. I worked with some amazing engineers that I got a lot of stuff from, but I didn't latch on to one, boom, and then learn as much as I could. Exactly. It was just with the live world.
Yeah.
I still had the mindset of I'm going to be around the best engineers that are in this small town or in, getting to that. And how do you,
I have a good example. I'm an immigrant. When I came to this country, I didn't speak English. And I studied English at university schools. But then when I came to this country, I had a lot of Russian speaking friends. Nothing against anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one day I realized that to learn English, I just have to start hanging out with people who just speak English every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not having a best professor or teacher in the world.
Yeah.
It's just,
But it's hard, I think, because English is such a ridiculous language. I think it's one of the hardest languages to learn, right? Because it's like this language. Because, we have several words that are pronounced the same way, but are spelled differently or used differently in this way, but used in. I heard in Mandarin, there's one word for each thing. So, anyway, but I'm with you. And I think, like I said, but for a lot of people, learning English is dues that they don't want to pay. Because they know what they offer, but in order to offer it, you maybe have to speak English or Spanish or Dutch or Klingon, whatever. But to learn to speak Klingon because the Klingons are your customers, it's the thing. People only see their product. They don't realize that, like we say, we're not our customers. So it's like, I need to speak Klingon. I need to speak Klingon well so I can converse with my customers that want to buy the thing I'm resonating with. And it's obvious, but I did a thing. So what people do instead is they just kind of try to guess their way around it. I do a thing at school where I'll put $20. Well, see, I shouldn't give it away, but I think I told you this before. But I'll think of something else. But I say, look to the students. I say, I tell them how addicted to guessing they are, and they think they're not addicted. They don't believe me. So I say to them, okay, close your eyes. I'm going to hide $20 in this room somewhere, right? I'm going to make sure that the person that brought me in is usually next to me. Let's say it's their band leader. The band leader is going to watch where I put it, so he knows I'm not cheating and just putting it back in my pocket. So I'll walk around the room and I'll hide it somewhere, and then I'll walk around the room and like I'm hiding it in many different places, right? When I come back, I say, okay, open your eyes, right? The first person to find the $20 keeps the $20, right? Now, here's the thing. What do you think is the first? When I say go, what do you think? What do you think? Almost all, pretty much 99.9% of the students do. What do you think they do when I say go? First person to find the money keeps it. What do you think? What would you guess that they do?
They start searching.
They start searching all over the place.
They start searching all over the place.
They're trying to guess where the money is, right? And so, last time I was in Chicago, I did the same thing. One of the female students went straight to me and she said, "Mr. Greene, can you tell me where the money is?" I said, "It's right here," and I gave her the money. I said, "Okay, stop." And her teacher starts laughing because he realizes I just told them how addicted to guessing they are. And I said, go right to the source. And they just went in right and went out the other ear. So,
who knows where the money is?
But he is.
Who knows where the money is? So it's like, it's such a good metaphor for like why I think people don't get to do what they want to do, is because they're so addicted to guessing. They're so afraid of someone telling them something they don't want to hear, that they don't want real-time advice. They just want to just kind of go with their eyes closed, guessing this is probably right. And then, I say to them, well, of your peers, which one of them is Norah Jones, right? And they go, well, none of them. It's like, well, then why are you asking them and not Norah Jones? And they go, oh, duh. So, and so it's that's why I decided to start writing, because I feel like if they can understand some of these fundamentals, and then when they go through school, then they know what kinds of questions to ask their teacher after school. They say, hey, I really want to have a relationship with this person. And I know that person. I said the number one type, which is, they've done a lot of things they want to do. So chances are they know a lot of people that are doing that, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to meet, Nathan East, right? And so the guy says, well, I have a friend who knows Nathan East. Let me see what we can do, right? So you're not all you're trying to do is like show some love to Nathan East, maybe see if you can ask some questions, whatever. And if you understand how that works, then Nathan East will be happy to talk to you. You might have to pay him a little bit of money. So what? Go paint a couple houses or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's dues you got to pay. And so, but imagine if you could start having a relationship with someone like, I don't know, Greg Fillingates when you're 12. You know what I mean? Or you meet Michael Jordan when you're 10. You know what I mean? And you have a relationship with him from the age you're 10. Imagine what you're doing when you're 30. 20 years of chasing Usain Bolt, guess what's going to happen? You may not beat Usain, but I bet you're going to beat everyone else.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to pick the crap out of everyone else.
Exactly.
On the level.
It's not right, and it's not rocket science if you really look at it that way. But the problem is that people are so fear-based without realizing the fear of chasing after what's next, or the fear of chasing. You have to be able to conquer that to be able to ask, how am I doing? Real time. For people that know, how am I doing? What do I got to work on? What am I doing? Because college is the time to ask that. High school is the time to ask, hey, this is what I want. How am I doing? The people who really know. Yeah. And willing to say, well, I was in college. A guy named Jim Riggs, who teaches saxophone, he pulled out a bunch of records. I went to his office. He pulled a bunch of records out, and he said, hey, kid, listen to these records because you suck. Now, I didn't want to hear that, but man, I'm glad he said that, because I listened to those records, and I might still suck, but maybe I sucked a little less.
Uh-huh.
So those times are, but you don't want to hear that. But you got, let's just be honest. The teachers that gave you the easy A, right? You don't remember their names, do you? But the one that pushed you to be better than you can be, you remember them. Mr. Dow, when I was my algebra teacher, he got on my crap so much, he got on my case so bad. That was what algebra was, like 7th grade, 6th grade. So,
I don't remember.
It's like the ones that are hard on you, and then tell you the truth.
Only class I ever failed, so yeah.
But the teachers that are like, you could do better, and they're the easy A teachers, the ones that we love when we're in school, are the ones we wish we didn't have so much when we're later on. And I think that's hard for students, because they're in the moment. They want to go to a kegger, and it's like, dude, college is 4 years, right? Life is like another 50 years.
Yeah.
So you do the math. 4 or 50. And so you have some fun, but it's 4 years or 50, you decide. So it's it's dues, but you got to pay those dues. I mean, no one gets it without the dues, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, technically, that's how this show was created. It was like, oh, we want to talk to people like you.
Tamp it up.
Created a show. We're like, hey,
how can we do that?
How do we get in the room with Frank Greene and just talk about how you think about life and how you think about career and how
without
you
being asshole.
Yeah, without an assistant running in every 5 minutes. Like this
that'd be awesome. Version. Hey, Dennis, wouldn't it be great to have a person bring you fresh coffee every 15 minutes?
Yeah.
That's my new goal.
Exactly. After every question, like, there it is. Talking.
Here's a fresh cup of cola. Here you go.
Yeah. I mean, so exactly. That's why this even started, is to get closer to the mastery that we see that was going on anyway, and even that back and forth.
Yeah, the whole process.
No.
Yeah.
Of just
try to be positive. I think it's like I said before. I love the idea of a world where not all of us, maybe it's not possible, but for most of us, it's like the guy building your house is there because it's exactly what he wants to do.
Yes.
The guy pouring a swimming pool is there because it's exactly what he wants to do. I can see crime would go down. The hate would decrease because we'd realize we all resonate in ways where it's like, look, Celine Dion and Renee Fleming are both singers, but they're not this, and they're both excellent. You know what I'm saying? So their desire to sing when they were younger was the same, but what the manifestation of their success is quite different. What do you say?
No.
It's like I feel like we can actually really broaden. So I think like a teacher might think, well, you're trying to maybe say that I'm doing X, Y, or Z. It's like, no. I'm saying that be ready for your students to come to you and say, hey, help me with X, Y, or Z beyond just, the syllabus and what I got to read for the semester. Because teachers have pressure coming from administration. We get that. And so I'm saying don't deviate from that, but be willing to have a student come to you and say, can you help me? And you say, and teachers, look, if you don't know the answer, I'd say to teachers the same thing. If you don't know the answer, there's a phrase I love so much, I don't know yet. And so it's like if we could learn to say, I don't know yet versus guessing, then it's amazing. Because then we can go find out. It's like, well, what does it take to be like Nathan East? Well, you got to practice. Well, wait a second. How do you know that? Do you know Nathan East? Well, no. Have you ever played bass with anybody of note like Nathan East? No. Well, then you probably don't know. Oh my gosh. Look, I'm happy to, have you as my teacher, but if please don't guess. I would implore you not. So can you do this instead? Can you hook me up with Nathan East? Because then we both learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then so the next time someone asks you, then you can say, well, you do X, Y, Z. And the student says, well, how do you know that? And well, because Nathan East is my buddy.
That's how I know.
Yeah. And so that's what I want to try to do. So I realize I might have to actually go to schools. It's starting to happen that too. I have to go and actually work with teachers to understand how to deal with this. Because I think sometimes teachers don't necessarily have the right kinds of relationships to answer these questions for their students. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like for them to front load a bit of these relationships for what they do or what they want to teach. So then when a student comes to them, the lag time between them asking the question and getting the answer is less because these relationships the teachers have are already built up. I mean,
oh yeah,
so it's a comprehensive kind of thing that I'm trying to do, but I think it's just understanding the nature of why someone would want to help us,
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's what I'm trying to, explain to students about how do we make it so someone who wants to help us,
Oh yeah.
So they're full of all kinds of ideas and they're mostly wrong.
Yeah.
How do we put the right information into their? You say it so many times it goes in their subconscious. So it's like, you don't think about locking the door. You just lock the door, right? Mm-hmm. Like you drive home and you go, how did I get here? It's like what I want to do is try to impart some of these ideas. So how to move forward in a successful way towards what they want is almost as second nature as just driving a stick shift is. Once you know how to drive a stick shift, you can be on the phone, but when you first do it, it's a little strange, right? But once you get it, you can drive a stick shift home. You don't even remember driving home. So that's what I want to try to do is write in such a way that it makes it so these ideas can slowly impart into their subconscious mind, so being successful becomes habitual.
Oh yeah, I mean, because this kind of thought process takes time if you when it's new. Because I mean, it was new to me, some years back, and
practice every day.
Yeah,
just the thought process.
Yeah, itself. I mean, reading the Think and Grow Riches and stuff like that. That just really made me question my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Reading stuff that will make you like, oh yeah,
okay. I'm better than that.
Yeah,
I didn't already know that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You get to it. I already knew that, but if I have intention, though, it kind of having intention was a lot more of what I learned between like your books and all that, and even getting to like a Jordan-esque person is like his intention from those words from when he got drafted into what these 40 years later, and what it produced.
That's everything. You know, people don't understand. If you know what you want to do, right? You know what resonates with you. Like if you're a kid, right? A kid understands intention better than adults because they're not so hung up on stuff, right?
Yeah. There's no body in there.
If you don't know what your 4-year-old wants for Christmas, you're not paying attention. Because they'll tell you about 50,000 times before Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Because they know they're intent on getting that thing, right? And they're compressed. They're not looking at all the other toys that are out there. They know they're there, but they want the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. You know what I mean? So they'll go, Mom, you think I can get that G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip for Christmas? You know, it's like March.
Yeah.
So it's like for Christmas, it's like March or June. They're like, so I think if the more that we're like that, the more clear we are in our intention, the more focused we are and consistent with it, it makes it easy for people to help us.
Yeah.
And so, it's like anything else. If I was to say, hey, I'm looking for a place on I think it's 54. I'm looking for a place that has a really good menu and it has this, it has that kind of food, but spicy food in it. People go, well, in New York, they go, well, I don't know how to help you, right? But if you say, I'm looking for Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, right? Well, in Manhattan, there's only one. It's like on 53rd Street.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now it's like the guy might say, well, you're only 3 blocks from there. I'll walk with you.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do you find out a place you can go, they'll show you how to get there.
Yeah.
Imagine that applied to like doing audio engineering. You have someone say, well, that's what you want to do. You want to do audio engineering for this person. Well, let me put you in touch with their audio engineer. You're 11.
Yeah.
I want to be the audio engineer for Prince.
Yeah.
Well, we know how to do that.
Which funny that you said it. That was the dream.
You and I are one phone call away from that person.
Yeah.
If not maybe 2 phone calls away from. So an 11-year-old says to you, I want to be the audio engineer for Taylor Swift, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or from Dave Matthews Band, right? Good example. Well, we're one phone call away from saying, hey, I have a friend who's 11 years old, and he really wants to get with your guy. You guys are going to be in their town coming up in 2 weeks. Can this kid just sit back and watch him do his thing or her do her thing? Mm-hmm. They go, yeah, he's 11. You're 11. I mean, what audio engineer doesn't dig a kid who's 11 and digging on them? Because they remember being 11.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
This is, like I said, it's not, if you really think about it, it's actually pretty simple. It's just about people. Maybe sometimes you got to get off of these things, right? And just go meet people. Because it really is just, it's like I said to people, there's no IBM. IBM's a big building full of people. And so if you can get rubber stamped by someone who will vouch for you, that, because they're putting their reputation on the line, then it makes it super easy to get past these hurdles. Matter of fact, they move the hurdles out of the way.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that so if a kid's focused and they really realize, I'll just be honest, I really just want to be an audio engineer. I really want to be like Mike. I really want to be Usain Bolt's his running coach, right? Or a running coach for someone like Usain Bolt. Well, then you kind of know what to do, because who knows how to train Usain Bolt better than Usain Bolt's running coach? It seems obvious, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
So the kids get that part. But the part they get is they go, well, I want that right now. And Usain Bolt's coach goes, well, I'm glad you do, but why am I motivated to help you?
Yeah.
They don't get that. So that's why I started writing, to help fix that disconnect, reconnect that disconnect that people have.
I was literally listening to another podcast where, oh man, I forget, he was an NFL guy, retired guy, and his son is a runner. And he's like, I learned that, you have to get with the mastery, talking about mastery. He got the guy who beat Usain Bolt. Is he was lucky. Yeah, like he was like, okay, I'm gonna go even past now. Like, what? And his son is one of the top in the nation, of course.
Yep. Funny how that is. I know. So like all the guys that play with Jordan, right? Or look at Tiger Woods, right? Not just focused on sports so much, but they had to change golf courses so that Tiger Woods couldn't cream people. But look at all the golfers now that say, hey, we work out and we work on our long drives and we work on these things because of Tiger Woods, not because we wanted to be better.
For a golfer, yeah, that's not even heard of. Yeah. Yep.
So I'm saying, wasn't some vague idea? I want to be an audio engineer. Well, you could. Okay, that's right. But then the people. So in other words, you want to make it easier for people, right? So if you say, "I want to be an audio engineer," they go, "Great, to do what?"
Yeah.
So now you're making them ask you a question.
That was
making them work hard to help you.
Exactly.
Can you help me? I'm going to make it hard for you. But it's like the answer is no.
Yeah.
If you make it easy for me, then yeah, here you go. I'll walk you with Chris.
Yeah, and I knew that. Oh man, I felt like to mix prints, you had to be one of the best audio engineers in the world. So therefore, that was also a part of what I tagged with it. Like when I went out to become an audio engineer, then that must mean I have to be one of the best in the world. Like that was the mindset I had. Not necessarily with the coaches, with the, I wasn't with Prince's engineer, but having that thought process of that's where I wanted to take it. I ended up I mixed everybody but Prince, but
sometimes you beat everyone else. Yeah,
I met every musician and singer that I wanted to mix. Funny enough, I still did, I got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you have to have intention.
Mm-hmm.
The intention has to be there from the get-go, even if you don't know how you're gonna, who to call or how to get to it.
Well, we know Billy. Billy used to mix.
Oh yeah,
so we actually know a guy who mixed
his last engineer I actually worked with. So
really?
before he passed away. So
you're there, but yeah,
I was right there. So it was like, oh, okay. Like everything that I had in my mind from 15 has happened. It's funny enough. It's a weird. It's like
it's a cool thing when you tell people things you get to do. It's a cool thing sometimes to realize, I could be digging a ditch. I could be making lattes all day. I don't want to do either of those two things.
And I've owned chickens at plants, so I know there are some.
That's your dream. I mean, maybe that's your dream. I want to, make sure people's chicken nuggets don't have any pieces in them. Whatever. If that's your dream, that's your dream.
While I was deboning chickens, I was still saying, "Oh, I'm gonna mix the best artists in the world," and people are like, "What?"
Man, do your job, right? But you do.
I was gonna do, but I knew it was just a mindset, and that's like you have to put yourself in to almost a hypnotic state with this. Like
Jordan, you have to be like you look at I just finished rereading Outliers, that book by Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about circumstances that make things easier. And let's just face it, there are. When you're born, what society's going through, what's viewed as important. I think that some of the guys that are tech billionaires, 40 years ago, they wouldn't be billionaires because we didn't want that yet. We didn't even know we could have it. And so sometimes that happens, but for the most part, it doesn't. I think because people are they want what they want. We need the things that we need, and I think that people have to understand they bring an important aspect to life just because of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they can bring that into the equation, then people always say, well, when college is over, will there be room for me? And the answer is, well, where's Taylor Swift? She wasn't Taylor Swift her whole life. Madonna wasn't Madonna her whole life. No. Of course there's room. You have to understand how value works.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so one of those things is two things I think you have to do is you have to be willing to get real time, how am I doing, from people, from the PPK.
Exactly, and not take it as a negative thing on that person. Yeah,
well, it might be not what you don't want to hear, but it just because what you want to hear doesn't mean it's negative.
Oh
it just means you're driving on the wrong road and you got to get back on I-5. Oh, I thought it was on I-5. It's not negative. It just means you're on a side road. Get back on the interstate. And the second thing is we have to stop lying to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We know what we want. We know what we want, and the best thing we ever do for ourselves is before we fall in love with the idea that we can do X, Y, or Z, or that we can't do X, Y, or Z, go and find the people that are doing the thing we want to do. And the younger you are, the better, because there's no threat of any kind because you're 11. If you're 11, you're not going to be. If you're 10, you're not going to scare someone who's 40.
Yeah.
Because by the time you're old enough to scare them, they're going to be off to something else anyway.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe threaten them, whatever, don't scare them. You know what I mean? But I think that's why, to me, the younger the better. Because that's not that you can't. Of course, you can do that when you're older, because you can bring things that you've learned in your life to a situation. You don't have to be 11, mm-hmm. but it's important to understand how relationships work. But you have to stop lying to yourself about what you want, and be able to, so that you can say, "Look, I want to be I want to be Maynard Ferguson's lead player, right? Now, what's going to happen when you tell me that? I'm going to say, well, he's dead, so that's going to be tricky. But at least you don't have to keep dreaming. One day you're going to be hired by Maynard and tour with Maynard because they're dead. And there's no. I get to play lead with the Count Basie band, which I'm really honored to do. But because there's a band that continues on, not because Basie's alive. But with people like Maynard or Buddy Rich, there is no band like that. So you can love the idea of it, but let's just get real. That's not going to happen for you, right? So if you're 57, you're not going to become an Olympic ice skater, probably. You know what I mean? Probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you go see, I don't know, Lindsey Vonn, you say, I want to be like good as you on the Super G, and she goes, how old are you? I'm 75. Yeah, you can give it a whirl, but it's you're probably not going to get it. But at least Lindsey Vonn told you that.
Yeah.
And not Martha down the street who works at the dairy.
Yeah. Exactly. Seek the source.
People are so quick to hear they can't do something from people who have no right to tell them they can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, what? How do you know?
Wow. Yes. Somebody else that you have to really guard your thoughts from people. Really, I mean, only certain people can know about what the ultimate dreams are. Because I don't need anybody, crapping on my point.
Well, when we're older, for sure, because you don't. Colonel Sanders doesn't say, "Hey, come to my restaurant. I'll tell you the secret formula for my chicken."
Yeah.
But when you're 11, it doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah.
When you're 11, you can say, "Hey, I want to be a cruise ship captain." I don't know. You can say whatever because it's true and it's real.
Yeah.
And you start finding how to do it, and you can really put yourself in the express lane to getting there. So that all of a sudden you start. And here's the cool thing: when you start making little bits of progress and you start winning little victories, your self-esteem grows, and you start to really believe in yourself, and that creates huge momentum. And you really start believing this idea of streamline what you want, make it real easy for people to help you, and keep doing that. And then their trust in you grows because you're not wasting their time. So they're happy to introduce you to the next person because they know you'll be appreciative, you'll be respectful, and you won't waste their time. And because of that, you'll add value to their situation because you're appreciating what they do and valuing that because it's what you want.
Yes.
Come on, how do you not win when you're doing it that way?
It would change the world. We thought.
I would love it. It would be a dream come true.
It will change the world.
Tamp it up. Got to tamp it up.
Hey, T, how you?
People don't know about that. I know.
Yes. Anybody tells me to tamp it down, I was like,
We're going up.
No, tamp it up. You gotta believe you're the only one. You're the first, the last. It's your life. This is what you're doing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that I try and get that out as much as I can. And thank you so much, Frank, for getting it, for helping us get out more of the word. And hey, right.
It's a pleasure to be here. Always with you all. I wish we could be in the same room. We'll put the coffee on next time I see you guys.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Some nice coffee in our Jersey studio. We can't wait. And so you had the Jazz Zen, and what's the other book that you have?
The other one is called The Quiet Mind for Musicians, and it's basically a book because people ask all the time, how do you not get nervous when you play? And so my wife will tell you when I got hired to do the Dave Letterman show, my audition was Paul told me how the intro was played because it wasn't top to bottom. We had to kind of cut jump. So he basically said, here's what we do. And your audition was, bam, you're on TV. Sight reading music and having to come up with stuff on the fly. That was the audition. There was no rehearsal. There was no, hey, let's work some stuff out. And Paul called stuff on the fly fast. And so that was the audition. So, how do you not get nervous? And I think there are definitely ways to think about it. I think I ask students all the time, do you play better when you're nervous? And they go, no. Well, then don't be nervous because do you intend on playing poorly? Well, no. Well, then if you get nervous, then your intent must be to play it poorly so don't be nervous so you can play the way you could play. Because you're going to play the best you can play anyway right now. But if you're nervous, you're going to play worse, and that's not your intention.
Yeah.
I had a guy, we did a Maynard tribute, and the guy next to me was so nervous. I won't say his name. And I said to him, are do you get better? Because some people, they're more intense when they're nervous. I said, do you play better when you're nervous? He said no. He's like, getting all the time. I said, no. I said, did you come here to play badly? He went, no. Then I said, well, then don't be nervous. And he went, oh yeah. I can see him. You could like visually see his blood pressure going back down. Because it's simple, right? But
yeah.
So the book basically explains fundamentally why people tend to get nervous. I broke it into 5 categories of why people tend to get nervous and what contributes to that. So you can identify which one or combinations that you are, so you can unplug those things. And then get back to the intent, which is to try to perform well. And so that's why I call it the quiet mind, because it's using these techniques to just quiet yourself down. So you can, quiet your mind. Who can do that? Ever try to meditate? After 20 seconds, you're like, So the trick is to try to focus so you can quiet your mind down so you can just play the best you can.
Damn. Nice.
So they'll be out probably, I think both those will be out in the next 10 days. So I hope so.
Oh, congrats. Fantastic. This is good timing. I didn't even realize.
To go back, right? Hopefully.
Back even stronger.
Yes, back even stronger. And hey, my one of my favorite reads of all time. I knew that.
Hey, I love this. I love this. Oh, so you can follow me. I guess it's below, right?
Yes, it's still going. Yeah. So check out Frank David Greene on Instagram. All this stuff on. You got other books too. You got quite.
I do, but I'm kind of tweaking them because I really want to try to move a bit more into trying to help students, because I feel like, I get to play with a lot of people that are really great. I mean, getting to spend time with James Moody and Jimmy Heath, who just passed away, and Roy Hargrove and Claudio are my buddies, my traveling buddies. I miss those guys, but I feel like I'm kind of on that place where I need to start, like, I hate to use that expression, giving back, but I'm kind of in that place where I feel like people are asking me, how do you do that? And I feel like that's happening a lot more. So I want to try to, try to understand, like I say to students, sharing. People say share information, right? But sharing isn't you give me and I take. That's giving. That's if you give everything, you're gonna have nothing.
Yeah.
Sharing is, there's a mutual benefit for us. So, if I have a book and someone gets it, then they'll learn from that. And then if they want to ask me questions based on that, I'm happy to. But because it's the sharing, I mean, so that's why I want to start working with students more at their school or near their school. And then, for that reason, to try to maybe create some more positive energy where people get to do what they want to do.
Exactly, and we're gonna do a podcast together. We're gonna
Let's do it. Yeah,
we've been talking about that for a few years now. So
tamp it up review.
We're gonna tamp it up. Exactly. We're just gonna talk all mindset. It's a big thing right now, and it helps everybody, no matter what age you are, to get your mindset together.
Yep.
On how you want. If you're unhappy with anything in your life, that means your mindset towards it just isn't correct.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned it from reading books like yours, The Think and Grow Rich, Eric Thomas, all of these different greats that just really talk about getting to work. You also just have to get to work, which a lot. That's a big thing that people know what it is.
I gotta do it. Yeah, come on.
Exactly, of how much work it takes to truly master anything from musicianship to even audio engineering, and the just nonstop, no weekends and birthdays of what you have to work through to just get the kinks out and get, just that mindset. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing more of this with you and talking more mindset. TIU.
Well, maybe we can tour with Christian a bit again, right?
I know, right?
Sheesh.
Hey, we're gonna do some university touring. Yeah.
Here we go. I like that. Let's do that. Let's do
that kind of,
help and groove,
Yeah, it because it's just needed, and it changes your life. It takes you out of the excuse territory. It just locks you up to what you want in your life. And thank you so much for
thank you for having me.
Sitting out all of this information. Any parting words you want to say, Frank, as we roll out of here?
Well, hey, I guess like the rest of us, we just got to wait this out. I just hope everybody can go slow, because it's like anything. You rush back and you injure yourself, and it takes even longer to get back. So, hopefully we could just kind of be patient and just do it right, so we can get back to our lives. I think we all want to do that.
Because we're in the hot spots of New York and New Jersey. So
okay.
Definitely. All right. Thank you so much, Frank.
Thanks, guys.
Always a pleasure to talk with you, whether it's on the road or in a podcast. It's been amazing just knowing you. Thank you so much. I love you, brother.
Love you back. Thanks.
Thank you so much, and keep putting it out there. All this information is needed by old, young, no matter what race it is. Everybody needs this kind of mindset talk. Thank you so much, and a thank you to Jessica.
Thanks, Jessica. Better and everything.
Yeah.
Thanks, my wife, producer. She's my wife. My producer's waving.
Oh, okay.
Yes, to your local producer, Frank, / your wife, and our producer, Jessica, for putting this on. Any parting words from you?
Keep pushing. Keep doing what you like, and
yes,
be persistent and work towards it.
Mm-hmm. Check it out.
That's needed for everything. All right. Thank you guys for checking this out. This will also be available in the next week or so, few days, on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and listen to our previous 2-part podcast as well. Just great stuff. It's always great to have you on, Frank. Thank you again so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Go.
Let's go.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.